Good morning. It's beautiful Georgia here. Well, I'm not Georgia. This is Georgia around us. And that's my son. So, today I want to speak about something. And that was how I got from being someone when I was younger who was, I wouldn't say a full-on blue pillar, but I kind of was compared to what I am today. Not compared to the people who were around me. I used to be very uncouth, especially in New Zealand, the land of misandry, which is basically the opposite of misogyny, where boys are brought up to actually resent and denounce any shred of masculinity they might have. And we see this all around the Western world. And this is what Jordan Peterson's on about now. And this is great because it validates with, well, you know, some people won't believe you unless you don't have science or you don't have some academic spouting something. Or you might not be a person, oh, you motherfucking piece of shit mosquito. Or you might not be a person who can articulate it as well as someone like him can. Some learned scholar, in his case a professor, right? So I went from being kind of lefty, kind of socialist. I still kind of have aspects of socialism because I still believe the police force and the fire department need to exist. And you get these dumbass Republicans out here who, and by the way, don't think that I'm just an anti-Republican. I'm anti-everything, right? I'm an anarchist. But an anarchist doesn't mean chaos, by the way. That's the bastardized meaning that was basically the same things we have right now, where you have the CNN and MSNBCs of the world basically saying that everything Trump does is wrong. So that means that no matter what he does, even if he was doing good things, you're not going to hear about it because all they have is one narrative: prove that Donald Trump is a FUD nugget, right? I'm trying to swear less in my videos and not get eaten by mosquitoes as I walk here. So what ended up happening is basically you open your eyes and you see, well, why should everything be given away for free? And it's not given away for free because you pay your taxes, right? I understand that about socialism. But the simple fact is some people never pay taxes at all. I saw this in New Zealand growing up, actually. Actually, I lived this in New Zealand because a lot of times I used to claim benefit because I couldn't find work, so I would claim a benefit. And I hadn't really had a career yet. There's no fucking jobs around. I know in Scotland the same thing happens because all of our resources get stolen by England, basically. And therefore, so let's take, for example, the fuel out there. The fuel gets refined in England, 4 refineries in England, 1 in Scotland, and it's only a token refinery to show, hey, look, we're giving you work from your resources too. But it's not really true. All the big wig jobs go down in England, yada, yada, yada. So what ends up happening over time is I'm going to skip forward through all the stuff I saw in New Zealand with the rise of political correctness. Political correctness has gone insane, because that's what it was at the time. Same in the UK. Political correctness has gone insane. I looked at South Africa, had the changes coming in with the Rainbow Nation. When that happened, my parents voted for Nelson Mandela. I watched all the changes happen there, and now it's fucked. And look at it. What have you got? You got a situation where not all blacks, but a high contingent, a high proportion of Zulus just want to kill white people. And that wouldn't have been any different if they didn't have a history of being oppressed and treated like shit themselves. That's human nature of guiltiness. I was trying to beep it out myself as I'm walking. Fuck it, I'll do it later. No, I won't. I can't be bothered. But basically, I've seen all these what's it called? Playing to the camera. Like this morning, MSNBC, this woman who was a senator up in Michigan, and she was on about how, Rumble, hurry up! She was on about how she went to a Trump rally and said these things and asked him, have you ever read the Constitution? Now, you know for a fucking fact that if someone went on and they were in a Hillary rally, one of those tiny little rallies that Hillary had, and when you know when Bernie Sanders was walking around with 65,000 people behind him and Hillary had about 12 in a circle, those kind of rallies, right? If you'd said anything, people would have fucking lynched you. And so they try to create this narrative like, oh, fascism, and this is why right now in the media what you have is this: Trump, collusion, collaboration, collusion, Trump, Putin, meddling, elections, meddling. They're just using keywords because I can hear it from afar, and it is just buzzwords, right? All it's to do is to program you into thinking, well, Russia had something to do with it. And then I hear from my stepmom, who's completely blue. I mean, she's a red pill the whole way, right? Red pill, I mean, hasn't woken up at all, is completely blinded. She came, God, one day she came into the conversation me and my father were having. It's like, I'm voting Hillary. After all these things, she's pretending like she was some undercover agent supporting Sanders, like it mattered to us. Just be real, just be telling the truth. And then next thing, like, as if you're, oh wow, you really shook us up there. Well, all you've shown is you're fake, you know, that you can pretend to be for one side and actually be for the other. And when it really comes down to it, you're ignoring all the horrible things that woman has done. And this is not a smear campaign. This is, what I don't understand is how the Russians, the Russia shit, let's say it was the Russians. Oh, the Russians. One is, I'm a computer expert, right? When you hack a system, you don't fucking show, oh, hey, look, here's a trail of breadcrumbs back to me. You will never know who it is. In the case of a good hacker, you will never know which country it came from. Because everything that, let's say for example, I plant some spyware. I will have some coding that has got Russian text in it. I'll have stuff that's got Korean. You know, I'll have all these different languages. That's part of what hacking's about. So for them to say, oh, we know exactly who it is, what a load of fucking shit. I mean, you can bounce off proxies here and there. This is why, in most cases, it takes them months and months to bring down a dark website like Alphabet or something, right? So don't believe that mainstream bullshit, which MSNBC is on about, because it is fucking lies. But let's say they were hacking into it. Let's say it was Russia. Let's say we had the person saying, oh, it was me. In the case of Julian Assange, we pretty much have that. And yet, what's the news about? The news is about them hacking. The news is about them meddling. Meddling is the word. Meddling. See that word used so much? Collusion and meddling. That's no accident. These are all psychological warfare, effectively. So what you're hearing are these buzzwords on purpose because they're trying to tell you that someone has done wrong to you. The person who's done wrong to you was when you look at the results of the information, and the information says this person's been a fucking asshole. This person's being a thieving, collaborating, just, I don't want to swear too much. I don't know if it makes a difference how many times you do it, but anyway. That is the issue, right? And yet, the mainstream media will not talk about that. It will not talk about, hey look, this Pizzagate thing, should we look into this whole paedophilia? I mean, it's pretty strange that Hollywood's full of it, and they're super rich elite, right? And then also, both parties seem to have had their fair share, especially the Democratic Party in this country. And the United Kingdom is the other way around. It's the right-wingers, the Tory party that seems to have all the paedophiles in it. I mean, both parties do. But it just seems around the world what we have is big paedophile organisations. We even have pedophiles from, like, let's say the Sinn Féin in fucking Ireland. I mean, God's sakes, it's everywhere. And it's all these people who lead. Now, isn't it strange that where you find the most grotesque human beings are in positions where you're exerting your opinions and beliefs and power above others, right? It's no surprise. I mean, I'm not saying that everyone who gets into politics does it for that reason. I'm just saying there's a shitload that do. So you do have a club. So whenever you look, doesn't matter what country you're living in, right? You look around you, at least half the people in politics are completely useless and are not there. And that's at least, because I'd say that in most cases 80% plus. They're useless, they can't do their jobs. They're there for themselves and no other reason, right? So this brings me back to how I changed. In the American state, I live in America at the moment. I'm moving probably to Croatia soon to be a bit more, well, I just think it's a bit more free in Eastern Europe than it is in Western Europe or America. I just think it's a matter of time before I end up in jail in this country. I don't know why. I can just feel it. But anyway, and also the tax situation's a pain in the ass here. I don't mind paying it. I just don't like being put in a situation where it's like fucking calculating something on a slide rule while you're riding a unicycle. You know, it's insane. It's there's so much room to make a fuck up, and it's not even my CPA's fault, apparently, at the end of it, because it's me who's responsible for everything if my taxes are done wrong. So I just think it's one of those things where if the government decides they don't like you, they can just create a story and then run a narrative, or stick paedophilia on my computer. There's another one. I actually think that happens quite a bit, because I don't know, if you think about it yourself, I hate to say it, right? When I've had some horrible enemies in my life, I've thought, when the people who are true repugnant people, I think, you know what? Imagine doing something like that. Not that particular thing, but doing something like that. You know, planting something on them, like putting drugs in their apartment, you know? And then you say, no, I don't want, you know, Rumble, come here, this way. Hey. Come on. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that I even thought that means that someone more horrible than me, because I'm not a perfect person, would have done it many times. So if you can think it, it's happened. I've said this in many videos before, but in different contexts. If you can think it, it's happened, right? So moving over from all these other places that I've lived in and looking at the left wing, the right wing aspect, I will summarise each of them. One is New Zealand swung the complete other way from around about the mid-80s to being a misogynist country, all the way to being a misandrist country, and it's stayed there ever since. And that is why Lauren Southern and what's his name again, Stephen Molyneux, noticed when they went to New Zealand, well, they tried to go to New Zealand, I think they got banned. They got banned in Australia. They get banned in all these countries that don't have freedom of speech. So in Australia they got banned because they wanted to go into a Muslim area and show that there is no freedom of speech, even though you're in well, let's face it, it's a white country. It might have been Aboriginal, don't be pedantic, right? But it's a white country because it's mostly filled with white people. Go there, you'll see yourself. Don't fucking argue in the comments section because you'll be talking shit. I've lived there, right? Anyway, so you're in that country. When I say white country, I mean white Anglo-Saxon, which I'm not, right? I'm Celtic and Slavic, but it's a white country. It's got Christianity, right? Those Christians don't seem to have as much freedom of speech as what Muslims do. And I ain't got any problem with Muslims. I get no problem with anyone. I think the religious are mentally infirm, generally. You can take that how you want. And I mean every religion. I mean whether you're Buddhist or anything else, or Baha'i. I think organised religion's not required. I think faith is fine. Fine, you have your faith. Don't push it down anyone else's throat. That's religion, right? So I'm a pantheist, so that's the end of it. I don't need to go into it any further. So, in America, I saw this years ago with the propaganda on TV. When I was in Johannesburg, I saw the Gulf War taking off. I saw Bill Clinton, who I liked at the time. I've got posters in my wall of SAS. Well, what would be probably murderers, really, because I mean they're our elite soldiers, but we sent them out to do a war that was actually unjustified. Tony Blair knew it, and your president here in America knew it, and yet we still allow these media organizations to lie to us to our fucking face, and they've done it before. And yet, in the same way, when police are in court and they're lying through their teeth, and someone gets done and the judge goes, well, you know, it's his word against his, so we have to believe the police officer. No, police lie all the time. Why do they get the credibility of trumping somebody else's potential lie? Because they're a cop. They shouldn't do, because the cop's got such a long track record of telling lies, sticking together, the thin blue line. So it took me a while to understand this, and now that I do understand it fully, I know that always beware of the person who's in power. The person who's most likely lying out of two people, if one's in power and one's not, is the person who's in power. Mugabe is a prime example of that, right? Person who can't be trusted. So in America, I kind of flip-flopped. I never really went to the right at all. There are people in the right, like I like John Kasich's ideas in some ways, but in other ways he's a fucking Fruit Loop. I really like John McAfee. The guy who got in power in the, Gary Johnson, he's not even a libertarian. He's he's a conservative who happens to smoke weed, right? That would piss me off if I was a true libertarian. And I think a lot of people were. So hopefully next time that becomes John McAfee, because he's the guy who really deserves to run that party, or lead that party. Then you got the Green Party, Jill Stein. It was quite obvious. I mean, I was a Bernie Sanders supporter when I discovered Jill Stein, and also the other guy in the Democrats whose name is fucking Martin O'Malley, right? Martin O'Malley and Jill Stein, their policies are almost identical to Bernie Sanders, except much better, right? If you look into them. Hillary Clinton, if you do Who's Like Me, I think it's called. It's a website that tells you who, if you answer all these questions, who you're actually like, not the flag that you wave like a dumbass supporter. And that's how most politics works in America. Yeah, go blue, go red, go blue. It's just fucking mindless, right? So last year, 2016, when I was watching the election, fucking more mosquitoes, the primaries, and I saw all in Iowa and Ohio and all these other states where blatant election fraud took place. Not just election fraud, bipartisan, what's it called? Reiterative fraud that takes place every single election. And that is with machines that they know have been designed. They're actually by design or hackable by design. And if you don't believe me, just do a search on YouTube. Actually, I'll post a video here for a guy who was actually a programmer's 2006 video in court, one of the programmers of those machines, telling how they're designed to be able to flip votes, right? So they don't even have to do these complicated things. This is why I know that the referendum in my country to be independent was rigged. Not just because of all the things that took place. Actually, I'll put a link to that in here as well. Because it's just too much to talk about. That one I could go on for days, about how the Scottish referendum was rigged so that England could continue to plunder our resources as a country, because they have none themselves. And that's why they've been plundering the rest of the world for the last few hundred years. They are basically the epitome of a regional parasite. Well, actually an international parasite. And I don't mean the English people. I just mean the oligarchy and oligarchies, and because I'm going to call them that, hegemony. The corporate hegemony included, that run that country and pretty much the world. So once they cheated, because it was a blatant cheat, to stop Sanders, I put about $3.5 grand at that campaign just because I believed in it. So I thought, fuck it. Republicans always say, money is freedom of speech. So I'm gonna have a vote, even though I haven't got my citizenship here yet, and probably will never get it actually, because I never want to stay here much longer. Most likely moving to Croatia soon, as I said before. So, when that happened, I thought, fuck it, lesser of two evils. I keep hearing, that's the buzzwords that were happening in the media that day, lesser of two evils. And I'm thinking, I could imagine people in a media workshop, making up this, marketing workshop, making up this stuff. That's what I hear. I hear them all, oh, hey, what about if we do, yeah, that's good, Susan, and yeah, I can imagine all this going on in a little fucking room somewhere in Seattle or God knows where. So I thought, fuck, I'm not going to be told what to do. Well, I'm going to start everything. When I type stuff, I'm going to start not supporting Trump. I'm going to start saying, well, he's the lesser of two evils, and pushing that, let's say, response narrative. So that's why I moved to kind of being a Trump supporter. I'm not a full Trump supporter, and what I really believe now is that both Trump and Sanders were obviously outsiders, but they were only mild outsiders. They were only mild maverick outsiders. They still have the potential to be, in the case of Sanders, bullied, like he was, into supporting a corrupt party, which he knew it was all along. He only went on that ticket, as you know, to get because you cannot get in as a third party. So I'm just getting back into exercising again, so I'm coughing a lot. So basically, to finish up, what I'm getting at here is that now I more support Jill Stein and John McAfee, because they're not trying to join those other parties. They're saying the right things. They're not insiders. They've done other things. It's another thing. Beware of politicians. Beware of lawyers, because lawyers are politicians. These people are the scum of the earth, just generally. Now, and that's why now I can't trust Sanders, because even if he was good, he's been around for so long, and he's family-wise, he's not like Trump. He hasn't got a powerful family, so he can't protect himself like some mafia boss, like John McAfee can, for example, or like Trump can. So he's going to be weak in that way. You need someone strong. It's the leader of your fucking country, man. Of course you need someone strong. It's not even a question that should be ever asked. But I think Jill Stein would do it because she actually just has toughness. You know what I mean? Up. So there he goes. So what I really believe is that we are entering a stage where we probably had the first full mavericks, and those were obviously, what's his face, Sanders, and who wasn't allowed to be voted for. So you took a situation where the GOP was basically at breaking point, almost ready to fail. People were laughing. It was a laughing stock, and then they won because of Trump. That means the GOP actually failed. Trump won, the GOP failed. Whereas on the other side, the DNC won, Sanders failed, and as a result, the DNC lost because they would not accept the fact that people do not want Hillary. And they never will want her. So if you see her head pop up again, be very, very afraid. Because it means the corporate elite have decided, that's it, we're throwing our toys out the pram. We don't care about this this thing that you like to call democracy, which does not exist. Don't be so foolish. America's a congressional republic, by the way. Despite the fact that we go all around the world bombing countries in the name of spreading democracy, how about get it in our own country first? Same as Britain, by the way. Britain has a first past the post system that is not a democratic system, right? You'll find that there's probably only a handful of countries in the world that are democratic, and even then suspect, because democracy can be tainted if you disrupt the education syllabus, if you plant lies in there, and if you school people with your own corrupt narrative. And that's what happens in, let's say, New Zealand, that has a MMP system, right, proportional representation system. That is probably the closest you'll find to being democratic, because even when you choose your government, they actually have to merge with other parties to form a government. But it's still mob rule, and mob rule can still be tainted by the fact that most people are fucking stupid, and will be their prime candidates. They're basically, the medicine of propaganda is created for them, right? So the reason I moved now all the way through to Jill Stein, that's mild left, I think. Well, some of the parts are hard left. I think if any Green Party people are listening, move the fuck away from political correctness. It's not needed, it's not required. We don't need to have rules telling us what we need to say. We don't need gender fucking pronouns. Or, sorry, gender pronouns are fine. But don't tell me, like, this is what Jordan Peterson got pissed off with, don't tell me I must use them. If I want to speak in clicks and beeps, I'll fucking speak in clicks and beeps, you know? So be it, right? Don't tell me what to use. Don't use insincere speech like that stupid bitch this morning from the ex-senator from Michigan, where I used to live, who came on him and saying, no, I want to just joke, like, women can do this, and we need to just fucking be. Stop saying what women can do. Just do it, you know? I've got a friend here in Georgia, actually. There's a point I need to bring up. Instead of him just saying stuff, he always says, oh, look, here, this is when he gets drunk. Can I hear me out? Can you hear me out? Can I say something? Well, not if you're going to spend 10 minutes with the preparatory fucking speech on what you're about to say or could say or can I speak. Just fucking speak. Because that's why people turn away and just think, oh, for fuck's sakes. And this is why a lot of rightards call people leftards or libtards. Because you sound like a fucking retard, because you won't just speak. Get it out. That's it. That is why I support these other views. These other views give freedom, right? John McAfee's view, less government. I'd say actually all the way to Jeff Berwick, if you look at the Dollar Vigilante, on anarchism. I'm an anarchist. Don't let people tell you that word means chaos. It does not. What it actually means is the best person for the job. Community power. The reason why we have places that get poisoned like Flint in Michigan is because the person that made the decision to poison that river doesn't live in Flint, Michigan. When they do live in these areas, they live in a house, they have separate pipes, they have separate everything than you do, right? That's why they can make decisions that affect you in an adverse way and not give two shits about it. Because they are completely disjointed and disconnected from the results of their actions, right? I've gone on a bit too long, but I just wanted to get everything out, really. What we need to be doing, I think, is supporting smaller candidates. We need to be pushing for either one party, DNC or Republican Party, to disband and dissolve at some stage. If that happens, only one has to collapse, and then the two-party system dissolves. Because the two-party system is a mockery of anything that could even come close to democracy or what was in mind for a congressional republic. Because it wasn't a case of we can see a future where we have two parties that basically pass the parcel of power back and forth, and then behind the scenes are controlled by the same people, because that's what we have now, and we have it in almost every country with two-party system. And that is why when we make fun of Russia for having just Putin, or make fun of Mugabe for just, the guy who took over from him, it's a pretty rich statement coming from us, because what we have is we have the illusion of democracy. We don't have democracy. We have two parties that share power, and they are effectively one party with different faces on them. And we are morons if we believe that we have some kind of autonomy because I support Hillary, start the blue wave. Fuck the blue wave, right? Fuck the blue wave. The blue wave ain't worth shit. The blue wave is just bring you into the same party politics that is oppressing, the true oppression of black people, not the oppression that these fucking retards talk about that isn't even happening, and this white privilege bullshit, because I didn't get given anything for free, motherfuckers. I fucking hate them. So racist you are to say that, you cunts. Fucking, it just pisses me off now. It does really piss me off, that white privilege thing, as if I've somehow just had everything landed in my fucking lap, that I've never been homeless, that I've never fucking lived in a country where I've been persecuted for my race, because I have, right? More than once, and that's in England too, by the way. I couldn't get a job until I lied about being a Kiwi, because I'm Scottish. England is apparently United Kingdom. Britain, apparently my country. Is it? Fuck. So, just letting you know that. Go for freedom. Don't try sort racism with racism. Don't try start sexism with sexism. It's not a crime to be a man. It's not a crime to be white. It's not even shameful or bad or wrong to be white. And that's the T-shirt that Lauren Southern wore when she went to go to New Zealand. I don't know if she got there or not, because it's a fascist nation as well. It's a police state. Anyway, I could rant on all day. I'll leave you to it. Bye.